Hi there, this is Sylvia from UnHamsterwheeled. Welcome to today's podcast, to today's show. Today I can present to you my husband, Rob, and we'll be talking about something that we've been discussing this morning, which is unschooling, radical unschooling, because I started reading Dana Martin's book yesterday. I told Rob that I was aware of this book for a while, but I've been dreading to start it because I know how freely she raises her kids, and we do raise our kids in a very free way. They have all the choices they want for their lives in most areas of their life, but we do limit screen time and certain foods. While reading, I was becoming aware of us limiting them in certain areas is still control, is still not being freedom maximalist. So we had a conversation about it. And do you want to jump in?
Sure. So we had a discussion about this morning, and Sylvia was pretty fired up about it. Yeah. And so she was saying, look, we say that we treat our kids freely, but in the areas of like screen time and who she spends her time with, not so much, but that did come up as a concern, who she's around, because
our daughter.
Yeah, our daughter, modeling. And so Sylvia was saying all of these things, and so I looked so we were getting involved in, fundamentally, we're talking about unshaping our children, like we're shaping them, so we're not being free. So let's stop shaping them, and so that they're free. And so I asked, I heard the mind, the way I look at it is like, whenever you try and shape anything in your reality, it's coming from a conditioned behavior. So I asked Sylvia, hang on a second, let's just be really careful here. What's the problem with them not being free? So do you want to say?
Yeah, we got into the problem with them not being free is that they'll they won't be free later without us. They'll be controlled either by others or by their mental hamster wheels that we're creating. And my point was, we're just gonna give them 100% freedom of choice, what to watch, when, for how long. And then, of course, during that time, watch our behavior, because that's just part of it. Otherwise, it might go really wrong. But then Rob had this really, really good point.
Yeah, so we're saying, let's give them absolute freedom. So follow the authority of the book in certain aspects. Do this, and then we will look at how we feel about that. But the action of giving them absolute freedom, that's within, if you imagine like a hamster wheel, that why is she giving them absolute freedom is because she wants them to be able and free, able, and everything goes with it. And then if you go to the opposite duality or the polarity, there's always an opposite. You can't experience able without unable. We really looked at, when we looked at that, that's why we're doing this, because we don't want them to be unable. And so that's coming from our own conditioning of our own unableness. And so we don't want them to be unable, but inevitably we will create unableness, because the opposite of unable is not able. In the real world, if you're running away from unable, it's not you're running to able, you will always come back to unable. So I have a very, very wealthy client who has spent his whole life building a huge business and owning things, etc., to feel able, to feel proud of himself, to feel loved, to meet his unmet need. but he continues, however big the yacht is, to feel unable. So he has to, so if whenever we step into that hamster wheel and try and shape our children, we are shaping them for the opposite. So it's the trick of the mind. And so we were getting, well, with the book, we were starting to feel a little anxious. And so that's the smoke of that there's something that we're separating ourselves from reality, and the mind separates. So when we really looked at that, it was clear, right?
Yeah. What really made click was when Rob reminded me of this story we heard like 14 years ago. We went to do a course called Breakthrough, where it's a method to work to uncover unconscious beliefs, subconscious beliefs. And the teacher told us the story that this mother of two kids was keeping this toy at home because she thought they loved it so much she didn't want to give it away. And when they were adults, they came and saw it at her home. And they asked, why did you keep it all this time? And she said, well, you absolutely loved it. I didn't want to just chuck it. And one of them said, it doesn't matter, just give it away. And the other one said, I absolutely hated it. So she was trying to keep this thing alive, to have this action of, here you go, you can have this now for your children, it will make you happy because you loved it so much. But she didn't know one of them even hated it. So I think what clicked so much was that if you try, as Rob just explained, to go this way, it will automatically go back to the other side and hit hard, and that you have no control over what a person will learn out of this or see of this or what they're thinking. You might want this for your kid, but what kind of beliefs they create out of this, you have no idea. You have no control over other people's minds, really.
Yeah. The more you, for me, it's kind of a truth. It's what I always see with my clients. The more you run on that hamster wheel to try and make others able or yourself able, the hamster wheel, the mind always flips the hamster to the other side, always. So that, for me, that's the truth. So whenever you're trying to shape, that's why central planning or central authorities, they, they, like the World IMF and the bank, they said, their tagline was end poverty. And they created poverty. They've created more poverty. And that goes for all central planning. They have maybe good motives, but they create what they're trying to solve by using the mind. That's the glitch in the matrix. So with our children, in terms of what we're going to do now, is we're going to observe our behavior of wanting to make them better or shape them or worrying about them being unable, right?
Yeah, make them free, keep them free.
Yeah.
Like our goals that we have for that, because the goal is the problem.
Another thing that came up in this call is we hadn't closed the messenger and the email, so they're pinging up, and I felt myself go, but there was an annoyance. And the annoyance when I observed it is I should have turned that off, and so I'm letting myself down. So there's shame. If you follow it down, when you start to really observe these behaviors, that's why I had an anger response, because I don't want others to think I'm unable, or I want to be unable. So if you watch back on the video, there was a slight ding in me. And so that just needs to be observed, because the more I try and control that, the more the suppression of that will come up. So I just need to observe my deep shame, conditioned shame, and control and the letdown. Otherwise, I just reinforce it. So it just shows up everywhere when you start to watch, and that's how you free yourself. And you don't free anyone by trying to free them. You just work on understanding yourself, which frees you, which then frees your reality, freeze everyone in your reality. So for us to change our children, we must just change ourselves. And to change ourselves, we must do that by observation, no outward changing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I can see a lot of good things in this book, because ultimately by controlling and managing and punishing and manipulating your kids, you're most likely not to get free human beings. So this is more so the way to get free children, but you always have to look within, because if there is this goal, I want free children because I want this and this and that for them or for myself, you will be in this hamster wheel and always get the opposite. Of course, there will be moments where you will see, oh yeah, this is working, and great, and I'm on the right track, but you are still on that hamster and you will go back to
the idea is really great, but the moment you want to read the book is probably coming because you want your kids to be free, because you feel unable to be free and you don't want them to experience what you've experienced, and therefore the mind's already involved, and then you separate. So you just come back to being completely present and watch this thinking. That's how you free yourself. That's it. You're your own authority. Anyone who's watching this, you're your own authority. I'm my own authority. Sylvia's her own authority, and our children are their own authority. So that's kind of it's very liberating when you understand that's how the world works.
Yeah. So I've had these strict rules of only in the weekends we have a family movie. The rule is for everyone. I can feel letting go of that. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have any rule about it. It's not going to happen. Doesn't mean I'm going to change the rules to another set of rules, but I'm going to just watch my behavior from moment to moment when my kids might ask, can I watch this? Can I watch that? And that's the way to go for me right now. That's something that I've learned this morning. So yeah, I think it is good. Don't stop. Don't just sit there and do nothing, and read some books, talk to people, hang out with your kids, because that's how you watch your behavior best. That's how you learn about your behaviors best, not just by meditating by yourself, but by reading some cool books, people who want to make a change in the world, or even the opposite. That triggers you even more, and then you can watch your behavior even more.
Yeah, so I would just finish off by saying, when you disturb yourself is when you learn about yourself. So when you read these books, they'll bring up some disturbs inside of you, and that's how you understand that you're conditioned. People disturb you, or things, and that's otherwise you're just asleep at the wheel. So the disturb is really gold.
Or even the opposite, if something makes you feel really happy and excited and like, oh my God, this is so good, I need this. You're in the hamster wheel.
Yeah, which is a disturb. Up.
Okay, it's an overreaction.
Yeah.
So you're not in the present, you're thinking this is good, this is bad.
Yeah.
I want this, I don't want that. Yeah. Disturb yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Thank
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Spotify and UnHamsterwheeled, and on YouTube, a place to be. And I'd love to hear from you. Bye.